The purple-horned monster helplessly falls to the ground. It barely stirs and looks at the boy in front of it, who silently holds a sword and says that the hero has defeated him. It's hard to believe. The boy puts the sword behind his back, sparks appear, and Piri tells him that he held on for a long time. King of Demons Madeline. A beam of light strikes his sword, and the Demon King tells the boy that this is not the end. After his death, new demon lords will come for him. The main character uses Ragnarok Caliber and attacks the Demon King. He screams in pain and says that this battle will last forever. The boy is kneeling and looking at the hole in the ceiling, thinking that he has finally managed to tame the Demon King. If this were one of those role-playing games that the guy played before, the credits would already be rolling. A few years ago, he was called a hero when he passed away. Now, he is finally free, and the boy is happy about it. People look at him and say that the victory of the brave has finally happened. In the kingdom of Hajimano, the main character Shoto walks with his team, while everyone around joyfully shouts that the hero has returned victorious. Everyone greets the great hero Shoto, and his companions walk behind him, smiling. The king of Zamacel himself is the first to rejoice that the heroes have arrived, and he tells them that thanks to them, this world has been saved. The king approaches the main character, places his hands on his shoulders, and says that a special reward awaits him, namely his daughter. The boy feels awkward and looks confused. The king tells the boy that he will give him Princess Trappy. The girl initially sits with a dissatisfied look, but as soon as she sees the hero, she immediately smiles sweetly. The girl takes the boy by the hand and suggests they make the kingdom better together. She seriously says that with his strong weapon and her by his side, they can change everything for the better. The princess raises her hand and announces that together with him, they will lead the kingdom and unite this world. The knights in armor look at her in surprise. Everyone starts shouting, "Long live the kingdom of Hajime!" The main character thinks that people are just excited, and it seems that everything is about to end with a wedding to the princess, even though she is still just a princess. But everyone respects her very much. But the main character raises his hand as if to stop everyone and asks if he can return to his world. The girls and the king only smile grimly in response. The main character recalls how he sat on the bed and played games. Now he feels as if he is a stranger in this world. One day, he was simply taken and called here. So, they declared him a hero and immediately sent him to kill the Demon King, even expelling him from Penniless. The king suggested he take some stick and go fight the demonic king, and even the princess called him a ragamuffin. Every day, the boy only fought. He was already tired of such a life. He felt exhausted. The king looks at him and sighs heavily. The king asks the boy about what he had said earlier, that the magic that brought him here works only one way, and it is impossible to go back. He sadly says that it is impossible to bring this person back in this way, and this makes the guy uneasy. Their country is strong because of the heroes, so there is no point in thinking about how to bring them back. The guy understands that it is a futile endeavor. The king tells the main character not to think about it and to marry Tropia. Together, they will be able to make the kingdom strong. The girl stands up and smiles. The main character realizes that he has been deceived because no one even intended to bring him back. But he dreams very much of returning to Earth. The main character recalls those times. The phone, online games, little shops, how he lay messily on the bed, eating sweets, spinning the hook, and then in the morning woke up, afraid of being late for class, and looked out the window of his room. Then, he usually mentioned that he had already finished school but still hadn't found a job. The guy laughs shyly, saying that back then He had no worries at all and would like to turn everything back. But the king and the princess remain silent. The boy thinks, if I am here now, then what is happening on Earth? The king says he understands him perfectly, but what about the engagement with the princess? The girl calls the boy a scoundrel, and the king asks if he means him. The main character believes that it's impossible to have fun here. There are neither manga nor anime. His favorite series has probably ended a long time ago. The king just smiles and says that there's nothing to be done. The king addresses the knights and asks them to listen carefully. It is now time to start preparing for the banquet. The knights listen to him and quickly disperse to carry out their tasks. If at the banquet the king announces that the hero Shoto is engaged to the princess, he will definitely not refuse. The guy understands that they want to force him to make this decision, but he is not going to obey. Shoto tries to escape, but someone stops him. The princess angrily asks him what he just did, as it was very disrespectful. She asks the guy if he is perhaps dissatisfied with her. She looks at him, and he closes his eyes and thinks that Tropia is actually quite a nice person. The girl thinks, if he turns out to be too stubborn, she could even cut off his legs. As long as there are heroes, everything else is not so important. She will protect this country. The guy is stunned by her terrifying gaze and wonders what to say, turning back to her. The main character tells the girl that all of this is impossible. The girl looks sharply at the guy for physiological reasons, trying to hold back her anger. She is all on edge, but the guy thinks that now she will definitely understand everything correctly, apologizes, and leaves. The king informs everyone that the hero seems to be about to escape, so he needs to be caught. Someone unleashes a magical storm, while someone else throws a magical net. The main heroine in the web asks what kind of trial this is compared to the attacks of the Demon King and his generals. It's just a light breeze. A girl with a knife approaches him, and the boy notices that she emanates the same energy as the Demon King. He immediately runs away from her. The main character uses a quick movement magic called Biddish and flies through a wall over a great distance. The king realizes that he has escaped and says that he must be caught. The girl also realizes that he has disappeared, but the girl promises that she will definitely make the hero Shoto hers, and she looks through a hole in the wall. The main character is flying in the air and says that he used to think it was impossible to return to Earth. The hero who defeated the Demon King fled the kingdom. Perhaps this is how his journeys will begin. If you fully complete an old role-playing game, it may also have a similar plot. The boy looks down and sees a river. Thinking that he needs to rest, he neutralizes the magic and falls down. However, he immediately falls to the ground and notices that he finds it difficult to control magic accurately. If his level were lower, he probably wouldn't have survived. He gets up and decides to drink some water. Now, it seems to him that the water is very clear, but suddenly, someone stops him. The girl with horns tells him that this water cannot be drunk just like that. It needs to be filtered first and then boiled, and she is surprised that he drank it anyway. At that moment, he falls to the ground from pain in his stomach. The ogre asks the girl what happened to Katrina, and she replies that something bad has happened. A man asks a boy if he drank water from the river, and the boy replies that it is quite possible. They do not know what is in that water, so the girl goes to gather herbs to detoxify. The main character had only bought water and simply drank it, so he suspected nothing. But now he had become smarter. He got up and used magic himself to neutralize the poison. The man looks at it and says that it's incredible. Could he be a wizard? If the pursuers suddenly find out that the guy is here, trouble will be unavoidable. The main character smiles and says that he is just a guy who knows how to cast spells, and the ogre is amazed and asks what it means to be able to create magic. The boy understands that the man is not hostile, but still remains cautious. The man looks at him intently. The girl ran up with herbs in her hands and joyfully said that she had found the antidote. Both looked at her in surprise. She asks the boy if the pain in his stomach has passed. He wanted to say that he used magic, but notices the wounds on her hands. The boy pretends to be unwell and asks to be given the herb immediately. He eats it and says it helped him. It just saved him. The girl asks if this herb really works so quickly, and he replies that medicine always helps him instantly. In any case, she is glad that he feels better. The main character notices that she got hurt because of him and touches her hand. The girl says it's just a scratch, nothing serious. But the hero still uses healing magic and the wound instantly heals. The girl looks at this in surprise and then begins to admire the fact that the boy knows how to cast spells, although he modestly says that he just has a little bit of magic. He wonders that if this is true, then he didn't need those herbs. After all, there is magic that can neutralize poisons. But this guy denies it. He lies to her that sometimes he can't get rid of the poison, and suddenly the man wants to say something. Ogreman asks the guy if he is heading somewhere, and the main character asks him to listen to him carefully. The main character starts waving his arms and says that he is actually just wandering aimlessly. The ogres look at him in surprise. Suddenly, all three began to laugh loudly. The man says he is afraid to leave the boy alone because he might eat a poisonous mushroom and die. Therefore, the man invites the boy to his home, but says he will need his help. The main character smiles and asks him if it's not scary to invite someone you see for the first time. And suddenly, this man grabs him by the head. The man puts his hand on him and says that only someone who has mindlessly drunk river water and is writhing in pain on the ground can speak like that. But the boy disagrees with him. The girl says that her dad is very persistent and independent. The main character agrees with this. The main character smiles and says that independence is an important trait, and he needs it very much for his new life. The man shakes hands and says he will gladly help them. He is the lumberjack Brust, and beside him stands his daughter, Katrine. The main character wants to say that he is a hero, but he stumbles and changes his mind. The girl looks at the boy with a question in her eyes. He reflects on the fact that he will no longer be a hero and will now live peacefully, away from battles. The boy loudly says that his name is Shoto and he is going to the mountains for the first time. He is very happy to meet them. Catherine and her dad are also glad to meet him. Then, all three of them continue on together, and a new, peaceful life begins for them. The boy finds the first mushroom and is very surprised. Catherine warns that this mushroom is poisonous and dangerous. In the middle of the forest stands a wooden house. Nearby is a stump with an axe. It is here that the main character begins his new, peaceful life. He asks what he should do at all, and Catherine laughs, noticing how nervous Shoto is. Breast points to a stump and asks Shoto if he has ever chopped wood. Shoto thoughtfully replies that he has seen it in anime, but he doesn't fully understand how it actually happens. The man asks the boy to watch carefully and shows how easily he chops wood. The main character says it was incredible, but the man does not believe him. Now this man wants to try it himself. He just happens to have the right tool, and he pulls out his sword. This is the sacred sword, ex Ragnarok caliber, created by the gods to subdue the demon king. It can unleash a magical beam. The man asks in surprise if he is really going to chop wood with a sword, but the main character decides to give it a try. Splitting the log is as easy for him as cutting soft tofu. The main character raises his hands with the sword, strikes, and a powerful wave flies straight to the mountain and splits it in half. Everyone around is simply shocked by what they see. At this turn of events, Katerina's heart sinks to her heels. She screams, the guy curses, and notices that the girl is losing consciousness. However, the main character manages to catch her in his arms, and he is struck by how gently she smells. The girl who came to her senses asks the boy what just happened, and he replies that it's just time magic, rewinding back. The main character turns back time a little. After that, Breast admits that it seems to him that something just happened. The main character shares his guesses with him. The boy believes that in reality, skills and new technology hardly help in everyday life. The main character takes an axe in his hands and says that he will take revenge. He strikes the axe into a tree and splits a log, but both pieces fly straight into his eyes, causing him to scream. Katerina looks at the guy in surprise, but the main character says that everything is fine. It doesn't bother him at all, and this makes the girl even more astonished. In Rust, beginners often try too hard. For example, they chop wood with such force as if they were doing it like Katerina. The girl asks the boy to look. The main character watches and thinks, in Brewster's house, where he manages everything with his daughter, he will definitely succeed. The girl skillfully chops wood, and the main character is very surprised. He tells her that it was truly unexpected and impressive, and he also adds that she smells nice. Breast hugs the main character with one arm and smiles, asking if everything is okay. Catherine is confused and quickly runs to her room. Breast wants to say something else, while the guy listens attentively. The man says it's the first time he's been talking to a new acquaintance for so long. He likes people like him. The girl asks her dad to stop, but he just laughs. The main character is happy to hear from the man that he likes people like him. The girl says she will go prepare something to eat. The man looks at her and is happy that she has found a friend her own age. He turns to the boy and asks him to stay with her while he is here. The main character raises his fist and says that he will take care of her, and he can also learn a lot from Katerina, especially how to chop wood properly. After a while, a whole pile of chopped firewood had already grown behind the main character, and he was just chopping another log. After a little training, he learned to chop wood skillfully. It was almost like defeating a strong monster. Then, the wood can be turned into charcoal. It is used for cooking, heating, and warming water. The main character smiles and says that it's interesting. Although he has refused the title of hero, he will continue to develop further as a novice lumberjack. The man asks the boy about the title of hero, but he doesn't answer anything. Breast looks at the firewood and says that now there will definitely be enough. The boy did well, and now Breast will show how else the wood can be used. The boy is surprised. The main character smiles and says that this unfamiliar, calm life constantly surprises him. The boy smiles, firmly holding the log in his hand, and thinks, this is a real challenge. It is getting dark outside. There are 3 plates of food on the table, and the main character looks at them and wonders why there is boiled rice. The boy starts eating very quickly and says he thought there was only meat in such a remote place. The girl asks how he manages to eat so skillfully. The main character shows his empty plate and asks for a refill. The girl agrees, and Russ says that he seems to have liked the spices that Katerina added. The fireplace needs to be lit faster because they are serving stew today. If Shota weren't here, they would have eaten him for 3 days. But now they will eat everything at once. The girl asks if the boar he caught was big enough. The best thing to make from such fresh meat is stew. Catherine says that the broth, the fat, all of it, does not go to waste. Steam rises from the plate. The guy thinks about how deliciously Catherine cooked the meat. It smells just like a real animal. The boys quickly start eating. They think that it is the herbs that give the dish such an unusual aroma. Very tasty. The main character asks for more. The man says there are 7 portions, but he can't believe that he will eat that much. Shippo explains that this is a real test, all because of magic and special abilities. The boy speaks in a language that is incomprehensible to Catherine, and then explains that in his homeland it means, "Thank you for the food, it was very delicious." The girl tells the boy that she thanks him for eating everything. Since Shoto came into this world, he has learned a lot of important things. The girl notices him walking away with the plate and asks if he wants more. The main character says he wants to wash the dishes. The girl replies that there is water in the barrel outside. The man goes outside and looks for a barrel of water because it is very dark around and only the moon is shining. The main character walks down a dark street and looks up at the moon that illuminates everything around. A few days ago, he defeated the Demon King. Today, he came to the palace and immediately ran away from here. The boy is washing dishes and glancing at the door, and now he is sitting at the table with the family of ogres, full and satisfied after a delicious stew. Shoto's life will still unfold, but it all started with his call to this world. The girl suddenly turns to Shoto, and he looks at her in surprise. She says that they have already filled the bathtub with water and asks if he will go. The main character is surprised by her question. The boy joyfully runs and says that he will go right now, but the girl reminds him that they first need to figure out how to heat the water for the bath. Shoto says, if there is water for washing dishes, then there will also be water for the bath. The water will be heated over an open fire using firewood. The girl understands that this is a good method. The mission, heat water for bathing, has begun. The main character asks to leave this to him. The man notices that he is serious. The hero laughs and promises to show how easy it is to handle such a difficult job. The girl wishes him good luck. The boy says he is leaving now. He takes the firewood he chopped himself. Then he looks at the stove and the wild forest and thinks he understands why the stove is down below. But the bathroom is wooden, so why doesn't it burn? Suddenly he notices that there is a metal container underneath, in which water is boiling. When the water heats up, a wooden brush is lowered over it. The boy is amazed that all this is happening outdoors. The atmosphere is incredible. He is about to quickly pour out the water, lifts a huge vessel with his hands, throws in firewood and coal to start the fire, and then the guy uses his fire skill, which he calls start small. Something is smiling, watching the firewood catch fire. Great. The water is already starting to heat up. At this time, the girl in just a towel climbs into the bathtub. The guy thinks he needs to keep an eye on the fire so it doesn't get too hot. Now, he can boast about his heroic skills. The guy realizes that he is not a hero at all, but an ordinary boilermaster. Shoto, the girl, enters the bathroom and says that it is very warm here. The girl enters the bathroom and says that she really likes it. She loves to bathe. What he sees in his imagination fills him with pride. The girl says that the water is simply wonderful. Maybe he really does have a knack for this. He replies that he didn't even expect such a thing. The boy continues to heat the water over the fire, saying that everything is fine. The girl notes that the water is too hot, and the boy asks her to wait a little longer. The main character quickly uses a cold spell. The girl says that now she is too cold. He looks up and sees that she is standing upright. The boy looks at her with admiration and thinks that, as he had predicted, girl ogres have very nice figures. Suddenly, the girl screams and demands that the boy turn away, then pokes him in the eyes with her fingers. The boy lies on the ground, holding his eyes. The girl says it's ugly and walks away. The boy saw something beautiful and will keep it in his heart, thanks to his good memory. Suddenly, the girl's father appears and says that he went to the bathroom last, so he should go first. The boy looks at him in shock. The main character wakes up in a house on a pile of hay, looks up and realizes that there is a ceiling here. He reaches out his hand to it. The boy pours water into a bowl and says that the weather is always nice here and there are no monsters nearby. Then he starts washing his face with this water. We happily announce, here it is civilization, like a vacation in a tent camp. Brust stands with a yoke in his hands and tells Shoto that he got up early. The boy greets him and notices a bucket. The man puts the yoke on his shoulders and tells the boy, who is going for water, that it needs to be fetched every morning. As long as the large barrel is not filled to the top, one must constantly run back and forth. The man pondered and began to come up with something. He thinks that if he uses the magical storage, he will be able to take all the water at once. Then the boy stops thinking about it and asks Brust to give him another one of those things. Brust replies that there is another one with Katrine. With the help of magic, the main character could handle everything in 2 seconds. But his goal is to learn to live peacefully, so he relies only on his own strength. After that, the guy also puts a yoke on his shoulders. The boy tells himself that the hero's skills were never needed. The man hears this again and asks about the hero, but the boy replies that it means nothing anymore. Now he is just a water carrier in Shodo. Then they approach the pond, and the main character wonders that this is the same river where they first met yesterday. The man is drawing water, and the main character asks him if it is poisonous and if they know how to collect drinking water here. The man, having filled the bucket, replies that he doesn't know. He had heard this before. First, the water needs to be boiled, and only then can it be used. But drinking water spoils within a day, so he has to do this every day. He carries water, catches it, and boils. The main character is surprised at how everything is distributed here and how well people live in peace, but Brust says that he is clearly exaggerating. The boy is filling a barrel with water and tells the man that together they have already collected enough. The man agrees and says that they don't need to go anymore. Until today, he did everything himself. Now the guy is happy and says that with the arrival of a new assistant, their business has become 20 times more efficient. The man pondered this number and said that it is very large. He thought he had plenty of modesty, but it seems he was mistaken. However, 0 is really a lot. The main character turns to the mentor and asks for advice on what to do next. The man is interested in the mentor. The boy says that all this time he has been teaching him to live in a new way. The man admits that he is a bad mentor, while Shoto jokingly calls him modest. The main character picks up the buckets and suggests going back. The man supports him and asks, "What happened?" The man tells the boy that despite his small height, he is very strong, because to lift buckets of water, one needs to have strong legs. The guy initially says that he just has a high level. However, Brustus doesn't understand what level has to do with it, because he simply has extraordinary physical strength. The main character realizes that Brust and Katja do not know that everyone has their own level, as this concept does not exist in this world at all. And Brust himself has a level of 15. The boy gained the ability to recognize people's levels here. He could see the level of everyone he met. Thanks to this, he was able to develop well, watching videos about trading. One guy asked another if he had the courage to train as hard as that guy. The other replied that he also tries, but from exhaustion, he collapses every 3 days. The main character believes that he has already reached his highest level, learned many skills, and managed to overcome all limits of possibility. He even single-handedly defeated the Demon King and now feels truly free. He had friends who also put in all their efforts and reached their maximum. The guy remembers his friends. The main character looks at the girl who is hugging the boy and wonders when they will be able to become a couple. He maliciously understands that he also had a chance, but at that time he was probably too inexperienced. Brost asks the man why he looks so twisted. The main character gets scared and apologizes, saying he just remembered something unpleasant from the past. The man replies that anything can happen in life, so he won't pry. The main character agrees with him, saying that in the photo, Brestel looks very young, but has a very penetrating gaze. He is thinking, why is it that right now, when he has lost everything, he truly began to feel alive? This is exactly what he was thinking. At that moment, a man approaches him and lightly touches his back. The girl is holding a basket in her hands and tells her dad and Choto that breakfast is ready. They happily go to the table. Catherine mentioned that she added more, especially for Shodo, and the main character was surprised by this. The girl smiles sweetly, and the main character realizes that Catherine's smile warms his heart. The main character bids farewell to his past, welcomes the future, wishes everyone a good meal, and begins to eat. The boy tries it and says it's very tasty. The girl asks him to eat as much as he can. The man replies that he is still just as nimble as before. It seems that the locals here mainly eat potatoes, but both the stew and the bread that Catherine made are really very tasty. Now our guy is gearing up for the main event, finally taking down that bun. He says that first it needs to be prepared so that it can be eaten. The man is curious about what it is made of, whether it is made from wheat, and if it was kneaded like dough. Then he turns to the main character. Catherine waves to the boy and invites him to dig up potatoes together. The boy quickly runs over, saying that finding food is the most important thing. The man says they definitely need to go because they have more eaters now. The guy notes that she cooks very deliciously. Catherine feels a bit shy and replies that it's just boiled potatoes. The main character smiles and thinks that she is very cute. Brust asks the guy if they convinced him, lightly pats him on the back, and the guy leaves a dent in the ground with his foot. Brest was surprised this morning at how strong the guy is. He says he just trained a lot. The man warns the boy, if he continues to behave like this, he should beware. Katerina will fall in love with him. The girl is angry with her father. She hits him and screams that she is not like that at all. Even the ground shook from her blow. The main character asks if this is the power of ogres. The strength of ogres is several times greater than that of humans, so their sternum is likely as strong as that of a buffalo. Thanks to their extraordinary endurance, they can survive even in remote areas. The main character suddenly wonders why these two live so far away from everyone. The man says it's time to dig for potatoes. He takes a shovel. He thinks it's better to live quietly here and not draw attention to himself. If he is suddenly found, problems are inevitable. The hero who saved the world has become a fugitive. Honey also broke off the engagement with the princess. At that moment, the princess sneezes and asks to pass a letter to the head of the guild. The man tells her that it might be better for her to rest. She thinks this nonsense is happening. The foreign policy of this fool is simply absurd. And what's going on inside is unclear. They are barely avoiding bankruptcy. How can one relax here? The princess says that if that guy were here, there would be no need to hint or suggest. One should immediately start threatening him. The girl angrily grabs the pen and says that he is a fool. Now the boy, recalling this, realizes that there is something frightening about this princess. He's starting to think she's just using him for her own gain, while she sits there sketching him and wondering what he's really all about. Then the harvest was already gathered. The main character picks a vegetable and says that something like tararo can be made from it, as it can be eaten raw. But the girl warns, under no circumstances, it is poisonous. Catherine says that the poison can only be removed by boiling the potatoes several times or soaking them for a whole week. The main character is surprised that it takes so much time. Shoto believes that there are so many poisonous things in the world, and this morning he ate one of them. He definitely understands that he wouldn't survive here on his own. The main character takes Kitrin by the hand and says that he is very grateful to Brist and Katrine. The girl replies that she does not deserve this gratitude. Then the girl shyly laughs. The boy thinks she is cute, and he also notices her large potatoes. The main character recounts that he bought a lot of potatoes, but they quickly ran out. Brust reassures him and says that if he waits a little, they will appear again. Something understands that they rely solely on nature, but asks, what about a stable harvest? If you've ever tried growing sweet potatoes, he says, it would be great. When a man dreams of a peaceful life, he immediately thinks of working in the fields. In reality, he has tried this more than once. But each time, a wild boar ruins everything. Something asks him if this is the same soup, and the man answers affirmatively. The boy says it would be good to have a constant source of food and ponders this. He says that if he cultivates the field and drives away the wild boars that come here, he can have both fresh meat and a harvest. The girl is surprised that he plans to sow the field. The main character gladly agrees and asks to be entrusted with it. He assures that he will be able to protect the city even during the attack of the Demon Lord's army, and then his dream will come true. The girl is curious about what dream he is talking about. The boy says he wants to eat buns, but he has no idea how to make them. And the man with Catherine replies that they don't know either. Rust says it won't be easy. The man replies that a long journey begins with the first step. Catherine adds that she will help him too. The first step in preparing the ingredients for the buns is to make the perfect field. The boy joyfully announces that it's time to start. First, he calls himself a hero and then jokingly a simple worker. The man says that now, when he has decided to plant potatoes, he can use any plot he wants to plow. The main character is very surprised by this, but the fighters have already done their job there, although it is still better than cutting down the forest again. The guy says it helped a lot. The main character contemplates where to start. He looks at the holes and wonders if they were dug by wild boars when they entered the field. Then he remembers how Bruce chased them away, and then the boars turned into stew, so the efforts were not in vain. In this world, everything is interconnected. The main character takes a potato and asks if it is an ordinary potato. Bruce replies that he once bought it in a village. This potato was unpretentious, and he was given it for almost nothing. As a result, he only grew small potatoes, but even those were eaten by wild boars. The man says he has saved some potatoes. The young man asks if he is really that important to him. Ogres hunt for desire rather than engage in farming, so they trust him. The plowman, the main character, who joyfully and with surprise grabs the basket of potatoes. He realizes that it looks more like a regular potato than a sweet potato. Then the guy starts laughing. Something understands that the moment has come to use its heroic power. In the battle with the Demon King, it was completely helpless. But now, when its turn has come, it swings its potato. The boy recalls the gardening lessons he received in elementary school. This knowledge seems to him like it's from another world. He tries to apply everything he was taught, even cutting potatoes. Maggie watches his actions. He imagines how much he wants French fries, and he is drooling. But the boy understands that this is not the case. The potato needs to be cut into pieces. Then more sprouts will appear, and the harvest will be better. If you plant a whole tuber, as Bruce did, the potato will grow weak. Then the main character begins to act. He waves his hand and spins it, using cutting magic, a spatial cutter. Then he takes a knife and cuts the potato into several pieces. But if one is careless, they might accidentally cut through space and destroy the world. If Shoto uses magic carefully, his life here will remain ordinary, and the girl notices this. The girl looks at the house in surprise, while the main character uses time reversal magic and offers to go back. The main character asks the girl what happened, because she shouldn't sneak up so stealthily, and also asks the boy if he has already cut the potatoes. His magic helps not to notice either enemies or allies nearby. It works automatically. He always uses it unconsciously, but for some reason, he did not sense Katarina's presence. The main character thinks about this girl. She brought him a snack. He remembers how she wished him a good job. The main character wonders how kind Catherine is and thinks he would like to marry her. In his hands, he holds a jug that the girl says is already old. So, when he finishes eating, let him break the pot and scatter the shards around, because the clay from which the pot is made will fertilize the soil. The girl points to the ground. Catherine also says that her dad will make her a new pot. The man inspects the pot and asks if Bruce made all of this. The girl admits that sometimes it seems to her that anything is possible. She even sewed her own clothes and is now looking at them. She also says that her dad arranged that clearing, but in reality, they had to do everything themselves. She stands with her back to the guy who says, "It must have been difficult," but the main character joyfully says that now there are 3 of them, which means their strength will be 10 times greater. The girl ponders the number 10 and suddenly starts laughing, while the boy stands next to her, dissatisfied. The girl joyfully raises her hands up and tells the boy that when he speaks like that, she feels that they will definitely succeed. She says that since that's the case, she simply can't lose to Shoto. She needs to get back to work. She wishes him success with the field. The main character, with a pot on his head, asks the girl to rely on him more. The pot is empty. The boy ate everything and says that Caitlin's dishes are incredible. He now has plenty of energy. Then he points and says it's time to till the land. The boy uses magic to determine the place that needs to be plowed and throws a clay pot there. The main character uses earthquake magic, and after that, the ground in the chosen cube begins to move. Then the main character gradually learns to control his magic, doing everything step by step, and eventually gains a field. Then he plants the potatoes at a small distance from each other, placing the tuber in the hole. He says that the gardening lessons in elementary school were not in vain. The boy laughs, touches his face with a dirty finger, and leaves a mark. He joyfully says that he is now the main star among the potato growers. Night falls. Shoto is sleeping on the hay and snoring. Suddenly, he wakes up, hearing someone squeak. The main character suddenly jumps up and shouts loudly, "The potato thieves have come!" He uses speed magic. Whoosh! He suddenly finds himself by his bed and sees 2 wild boars. The guy angrily says that as soon as someone gets close to the field to dig up potatoes, he immediately finds out about it. This is a magical warning siren. The boy warms his hands and angrily approaches the boar, telling it that he will not give up his harvest, while the boar prepares for battle. Several wild boars suddenly charge at the main character, which surprises him greatly. However, all the boars suddenly stop. This is all because this man used the secret of soft soil to prevent problems with potato growth. He says, for good potato sprouting, the soil must remain loose. The main character leans his hand on a log and, thanks to a magical feather floating in the air, lifts his leg. The boy prepares for the strikes and tells the boars that the laws of the jungle are very cruel. Then the sounds of strikes and the cries of the boars are heard. After that, the boy stands by the fallen animals and informs them that a barbecue awaits them tomorrow. The main character says that first, all the blood must be drained from the carcass, but perhaps he is using magical inventory. A black hole appears in the air, into which he puts his hand. Something stores the boar carcasses in the vault and explains that time does not pass inside, so the meat will always be fresh. The man returns home and thinks about how to build a fence that will withstand an attack from thieves. But this could be dangerous for Brewsting Katrine, so it's better if he takes care of everything himself. Then morning comes, and the main character first brings water and only then has breakfast. During breakfast, the main character tells everyone that wild boars came to the field at night. The man is surprised by what he hears and tells the boy that he is very unlucky. But the main character raises his hand and says that everyone should not worry because he has already decided everything. The man is surprised at how he has decided everything since Bruce didn't even hear anything that night. The main character proudly says that he is not just a good hunter, but a true wild boar hunter. Bruce and Catherine laugh because Shoto invents new nicknames for himself every day. Then the man asks what is happening with the boars, because they need to process their meat as quickly as possible. The three of them go together, and the main character says he wants to show them something. The boy opens his magical space, and Borgahus falls out of it. Shoto explains that this is his own storage magic that he invented himself and called inventory. Both are surprised, as such magic usually costs a lot. I'm surprised that someone else can have the same collection of things. Bruce reports that he wants to have a workshop called Saw One with the same name. When the boy went to kill the Demon King, he only had a stick, and he could only dream of expensive items from the armory. Back then, he was still asking for at least a copper knife and healing herbs. But now his equipment is either made specifically for him or is a genuine, legendary artifact. The man tells the boy that he is very skilled in magic, regardless of the circumstances. The wild boars remained unharmed, and Shoto realizes that they even enjoy it. The girl joyfully tells Shota that it is incredible and wonderful, and the main character adds that he has one request. The boy asks the butcher to show him how to properly divide the carcass. He addresses his mentor, again calling him breast, and only then realizes that he has called him that once more. The man laughs and awkwardly agrees, nodding his head. His daughter tells him that he is very cute when he is shy. This is how the father heard from his own daughter that he is cute. Rast tells the guy that he will show him how to hang a boar on a tree using a rope. The main character begs him to do it. For Shoto, it is very important to learn how to butcher a boar. He must know how to properly bleed it, cut open the belly, and remove the entrails. In the future, the boy wants to engage in animal husbandry, so these skills will definitely be necessary for him. The main character believes that a dish made from wild game is probably a true symbol of a peaceful life. Katerina notices that her father is glowing with happiness, and all of this is thanks to Shoto, who awkwardly laughs. The girl tells Shoto that her dad always worries a lot about her. That's why they have to be very careful. She recalls how the boy asked what would happen when they dug up all the potatoes, and they were also worried about it. The man explains what to do next with the boar and asks the boy if he is paying attention. The main character replies that yes, he is watching. The girl recounts that her father was very upset about the failure with the field and the wild boars, but who would have thought that a man who drank poisoned water from the river could lift everyone's spirits? The main character surprisingly points to himself and asks if it's about him. The girl replies yes, and thanks him. The man further explains that this needs to be left to dry and asks Shoto if he understands everything. The main character, who has been listening, replies that he understands everything. The girl confesses to the boy that she will continue to help him. The boy is surprised, trying to listen to Brewster's explanation while the girl is about to say something very personal to him, feeling a bit awkward. She tells him that she and Dad are actually very happy to have him. Shoto stands with a serious expression on his face. The main character assures himself that he will be able to concentrate, but in the end, he completely forgets what Bruce said and is forced to review what his memory magic recorded. Meat is hanging on ropes, and a man tells the main character that they gather here because the air in this kitchen is quite dry. The main character listens attentively to the man. Actually, it's best to do this outside in the shade, but then animals might eat the meat, so the girl puts the meat on a wire. The main character cuts a piece of meat in half and wonders how much fat is in it. Brust explains that such meat will not be tasty, so there is no point in aging it. The guy understands this. Fatty meat contains a lot of moisture, which is why it spoils quickly. The main character looks at a piece of meat and asks whether he should cut off the fat, but then he says, "No, no matter how strong I am, I still won't be able to do it." The chest and back laugh. The girl approaches the table and asks the guy for a piece. He asks if she wants to throw it away and gives it to her. The girl opens the container with food and throws pieces in there. The guy looks at her in surprise and says that this is their lunch. Catherine smiles and happily says that this is their lunch, everything is ready, and they can enjoy it. The boy takes a piece of meat, thinking that he doesn't really like pork very much. The roasted fat looks like a flower. He tries a little and is pleasantly surprised. Suddenly he raises his trembling hand and exclaims that it is very tasty, just incredible, nothing like lard at all. Rust and Catherine look at the guy with a smile. Rust explains that if everything is done correctly, it will immediately melt down, and then fat can be used to make candles or medicinal ointment. The guy asks if it's really possible to make ointments and candles from this. He is amazed at how much can be obtained from just one well. This is real life. 2 days pass. Catherine checks the meat and says that everything is going as it should. The main character tastes it and realizes that it tastes like dried meat. It is much tastier than what is sold in the store. A man holds a pig skin and says that although it is dried, it tastes better than fresh. The boy is amazed by the skin and asks if it is tanned, requesting to see it. Bruce refuses to do so. The girl says she has already put the meat in, and Bruce says that he and Catherine will go. The boy asks in surprise if this is for exchange in the village. Bruce says he should look for clothes for himself. They will find something suitable for work. The main character is surprised by how much care is given to him. Bruce smiles and says that although he has first-class equipment, it is not very convenient in the fields. Catherine adds that quality clothing lasts a long time. The boy thinks that nice clothes are expensive here because cotton is hardly grown in this country. Usually, people have only 1 or 2 sets of clothes, so in the summer, many just walk around in their underwear. It's not entirely clear why, but it's common here. The main character reflects on this and looks at Catherine. She smiles and says that he is looking at her very attentively. The guy realizes that this is exactly why summer is called the time of love here. But the main character realizes that it is already autumn and getting colder. The man says that everything is already prepared. He puts on something like a backpack and says that the skins of 3 boars in the form of dried meat should be enough to exchange for fabric. The main character is lost in thought about something. The main character tells Brust that there are already 3 boars here. Isn't that enough? The man ponders, while the hero wonders to himself why he suddenly fell silent. The girl says that they really need to go and find clothes for Shota. She doesn't want to go, but they really need to look for fabric. The main character wonders, why did it turn out this way? Half humans, like orcs, were servants of the Demon King and fought against humans. That's what everyone usually says. Thus, in this world, half humans often face oppression, but the main character fought independently against the generals and aides of the Demon King. And among them, in fact, most were people, they became servants of the Demon King. With a smile on their faces, they attacked their comrades. How many did they kill then? Thus, half-humans more often become victims of false rumors, and it is not hard to guess what awaits them. The boy tells them that he will go with them to the village, and then no one will dare to insult them. Bruce asks how exactly he will do that. Something shows them a thumbs up and says it's a secret. The man laughs and says that if it's him, then maybe everything will work out. Then all three go into the forest, with mountains visible in the distance. The girls carry heavy things, while the boy walks easily. The road was dangerous, and would have taken an ordinary person a whole day. But the former hero walked alongside the family of ogres. Then they all sat down together to eat. The main character says that he will now put all their things in the inventory. The man smiles and says that a new friend has appeared in their family, and that is already a celebration. They will always be happy to see him, even if he only comes by occasionally. Katerina happily suggests celebrating this and says that when they find the fabric, the girl will sew him comfortable clothes. The main character is pleasantly surprised by how kind they are. Then they come to the village, and the main character is surprised because it turned out to be larger than he had imagined. About 100 people live here. At first, the man just wanted to greet them, but when he saw the villagers, he changed his mind and asked how he could help them. Breast points behind him, explaining that they came to exchange meat and skins. The man next to him grumbles that he smells like a peasant, and in general, he has nothing to exchange. Catherine asks what strange things he is saying, and the man leans towards her and says that she should see for herself. The girl awkwardly turns away and hides behind her dad, while the main character standing behind places a hand on the man's shoulder. The main character simply punches the man in the stomach, making him double over in pain. He lies there gasping, while Catherine looks at him with a smile. The guy says he got angry and immediately punches him in the stomach. The man tries to say something. The man angrily shouts at Shiodo that he will pay for everything, but the main character puts his hands on him and uses terrible magic, an endless nightmare. Now this man will wander in terrible dreams for 3 days and deal with those who hinder Catherine. They need to go. At first, the girl silently looks at him, then agrees, and they all continue on together. The main character says, with a smile, that this is just outrageous treatment, as he thought. Suddenly, someone screams, "There are ogres here. Why are there demon servants here? This is a place for people." People behind wonder why this filth is walking around here, who let them in, and why they haven't been kicked out yet. One man, laughing, picks up a stone from the ground and throws it at Braster, ordering him to get lost. But suddenly, someone's hand stops the stone. Then the same stone flies straight into the man's face. The main character used return magic right on target. The man says, "How dare he? This is cruel." Another decides that someone is forcing them to throw stones, and when they themselves get hit in return, they immediately complain that it is wrong. They need to quickly finish their business and return. They shout at him that he is a worthless freak, and that one day a hero will destroy him. Shoto looks at them in confusion. He reflects on their words. Those who tried to do good and gave him the chance to start over now wish him death at the hands of a hero. The main character initially wanted to settle everything quietly, but may also escalate the situation. People are wondering why it is so hot here. They notice that the roof is on fire, and some even suspect that the Demon King has returned. The main character uses fire magic. Heat flares up around, flames appear in the sky, and everyone is amazed, even Bruce and Kaishin. Something with pride tells people that they should reflect on their behavior, and added, "You will think about it in hell." People run away in horror. The boy laughs and says that while they think about nonsense, everything should burn to the ground. The girl hugs the boy from behind and asks him to stop. This is too much. The boy agrees, calling her Juliana. The girl looks up at the sky and asks the boy if he is the one who arranged all this. The main character was supposed to behave like an ordinary person, but suddenly got angry, and a fireball with a radius of about 100 meters appeared over the city, racing through it like a labyrinth. Then the main character extinguished this fire with a flick of his finger. It seemed that the peasants had returned to the past. When the demon king attacked the people with his army, they were almost doomed. Brust asks what it was. The boy explains that it was ordinary magic. The main character recounts that these inhabitants are simply terrible. How can he re-educate them? Brust says that their race really fought on the side of the demon king. But here they can get everything they need through exchange, and that's the best they can hope for. The man says, with displeasure, that he understood. The boy reports that there were many people in the army of demons. However, someone present claims that this is not true. They are not like these monsters. There is no sense for people to fight on the side of demons. They try in every way to protect themselves from the truth. But the main character does not change at all. He thinks that only he is right and only he is pure. He cares only about money and power, incomprehensible people. The main character believes that over time, he will definitely have to take care of their upbringing. The boy said that for such a small village, the local market is quite large. The giant said that this place had become a stop for traders. The girl confirmed his words and added that caravans gather here and continue on. People began to whisper that ogres had appeared. The boy rolled up his sleeves, but the man stopped him and addressed the old woman, saying that they had come to exchange fur and meat. The ogres said they needed fabric and asked how many products could be made from the fabric they brought. The woman replied that she was paying for all 3 items. The man argued that it was too little and that last time she gave the same amount for just 1 item. The old woman told him to be quiet because only she agreed to trade with them. She added, if they don't like something, they can leave. Velyud said it was strange to exchange 3 pieces of fabric for 3 wild boars. The girl replied that from 3 pieces, 1 shirt could be sewn. The main character believed that Bruisting Katrine did not deserve such a fate. In this world, it is always the good and honest who suffer. Therefore, he is obliged to punish those who act this way. The man pointed at an elderly woman and said that it was a robbery. She said that such a young guy like him is unlikely to know anything about trade. He used his authority as a banker. The man noted that the situation in the capital's market was indicated there. The hero said that for 3 boars, they are to receive 15 pieces of fabric. She asked how she was supposed to know that he wasn't lying. Moreover, it's not far from the capital, and prices vary everywhere. The boy smiled and asked if this place was more important than the capital. The woman said it was true. After all, it was more important than some distant capital. Here there are its own rules, and he must obey them. The girl turned to the main character. He began to say that it was good that he understood. The village is more important than the capital. The boy said that their conversation was overheard by the head of the central market in the capital. He used remote communication magic for this. The woman was surprised that he was able to do such a thing right then, in the very center of the capital, at the main market. The man said that the economy was in complete disarray at that time, especially in that backwater. He was the head of the central market of the kingdom of Hajime no, who controlled all trade and constantly sought more. The old woman recognized him. The other residents also began to recognize him and said that it couldn't be. The boy approached the man and realized that the hero was using a call center. Ensot told him that he had angered the king over the matter with the princess and therefore had to flee very far so that no one would find him. Shoto replied that it was a long story. If he asks him for help, he will tell the king about him, but for the sake of Katarina and Brust, he is willing to go for it. The boy said he would tell him about the princess and the others later. He has not fulfilled the promise yet. Essentially, Insat is a traitor. For him, a promise is like a contract that must be fulfilled. The main character said that he wants to know how the fabric purchase is progressing. He asked if he needed to pay in boar metan fur, how much it would cost. The man saw that there were as many as 3 wild boars there. He said that the meat doesn't need to be cooked for long, and due to the weight reduction, it can be divided into 2 stages. In this case, 39 pieces of fabric can be purchased at the current price. Breast said that he had somewhat imagined it would cost so much. The girl was happy that she would now be able to sew a lot of clothes. The hero turned to the man and said that they were being offered 3 cuts in exchange for 3 boars. He added that it was simply a robbery in broad daylight. Logistics and the lack of information sources. All of this affects prices in border areas. The difference was so great that it was precisely because of such robberies that the economy began to decline. The man asks the protagonist to spread this information everywhere. In return, he remains silent about that call before His Majesty. The boy said that everything was perfectly planned, and he would send the coordinates now. The man replied that he would personally oversee everything. The woman asked him to stop, otherwise their village might go bankrupt, and then Sat told the main character that they owe him for destroying the evil spirit Dolmat. The woman was surprised. She asked about the Dolmat again, but the boy had already started to say goodbye. The one who came up with the idea to elevate the market and whom all traders adore is Domea Tuklunda. She asked if Mr. Delma was an evil spirit. The boy claimed that he is destroying trade relations in the country and supports the demonic king. Exactly a person. The portrait retained a demonic energy. He believed that Dolma was using it to expand her influence throughout the country. He was told that it was just rumors. He was called a fool and told that a person has no place in the army of demons. He decided that something needed to be done about it. Katrin asked what the hero was talking about. He asked her not to pay attention and said that for 3 boars they owed 39 cuts. The boy asked the old woman about it. She agreed. The hero said that everything went wonderfully, the exchange was successful. The man intervened, and everything turned out for the best. A woman approached him and said that she thinks it is just a coincidence. She asked who he was, if he could perform miracles, and was acquainted with various people. Catherine said that the fabric would be enough for 10 pieces, and then she would be able to sew something for her father. But he advised her to sew something for herself. The girl threw herself into the arms of the main character and thanked him. He thought that all ogres were very strong, as he had read before, and now he could barely breathe. He thought that his end had come. The girl apologized to him. The main character laughed, reassured her, and told her not to worry and to continue. Katarina said that it was precisely thanks to him that they managed to exchange so much fabric that it was even hard to believe. She was glad that he went with them. The boy said that they shouldn't be treated that way just because they are ogres. Even when the hero fought against the Demon King's army, he did not consider any race an enemy. For him, it all depended only on the individual. The boy said that if simplified well, it is very similar to that village. But, as Breastwood said before, once the half people in this village were not so heavily oppressed. To inspect this place, he had to contact the kingdom. It was very tedious. It was previously difficult to defeat the Demon King, and now, in his opinion, it has become even harder. He recalled the words of the man who told him that he had been very rude to him and that he would not forgive him for it. The demon laughed and said that he would now show the power he received from the King of Demons. He wanted to see his true essence, the demon that lives in the very heart of the kingdom of Hymeno, the evil spirit, Dolmat. Trade was invented by their king. Everything that people create is needed by him to conquer it. He only bows his head before those who possess true power. Since the heroes do not want to submit to the demon king, he decided to simply destroy him. This is the guy who uses a magical device to display memories. They began to talk about portraits and the fulfillment of wishes. The paintings gradually draw energy from them and transfer it to the demonic king. The old woman said that Dolmat deceived them. She said that they are very mistaken. Half humans are not bad at all, and there are also traitors among humans. The woman could not understand why it was so difficult for her to comprehend such a simple thing. The curse disappeared as soon as the hero burned the portrait. The old woman said she needed to apologize to the ogre girl. Once, this stingy old woman was a talented merchant. Over time, people began to say that they were too foolish. The boy dealt the demon a decisive blow. He said he forgot to delete it. The residents began to wonder how he turned out to be a hero. They bow and ask for his forgiveness. The boy thought it was a problem, but if you think about what could have happened to breasting Catherine, then it's good that the residents found out about it. He addressed the villagers and introduced himself as the hero Shoto. The boy is currently hiding his true identity, so he asked everyone not to tell anyone about today's events. The main character said that they still have a lot to realize. He said loudly for everyone to hear. He added that everyone can make mistakes. They can also correct their mistakes. The residents began to praise the hero. He said it was good that he didn't burn the village, as the people decided it was better not to anger him, because he was scarier than the Dolmata. He made an agreement with the residents, and now they won't say anything either. The main character sat on a box inside. The boy said that if things continue like this, Princess Trapio will someday find out where he is. And he doesn't know what to do then. He wanted to turn back, but the woman stopped him and turned to him. She asked him to wait a little. The woman said that thanks to him, the village has become like it was before. The old woman said she regrets that she cannot thank him properly. The boy replied that she shouldn't worry about it. Now in his free time, he breeds birds. The hero asked if he could take one from her. She allowed it, but inquired how he planned to carry it. The man replied that it was not a problem for him. Ogre was surprised by these eggs. Brust said he hadn't seen such in a long time. The girl asked where he got them. The boy replied that it was indeed him. He told the villager a story, and as a sign of reconciliation, he was given bread and eggs. The luckbird resembles a rooster that lives on the ground. The hero said that he made peace, and now the people from that village will never harm them again. The man asked if he was serious. The girl said it was wonderful and thanked him. She suggested celebrating with a dish made of eggs. The boy said it was a great idea, but he asked to leave a few. Catherine asked why they were needed. He replied that chicks would hatch from them. The hero wanted to raise Gulalok chicks so that they could provide themselves with eggs in the future. In that world, he is trying for the first time to care for someone. In elementary school, he raised aquarium fish, but they all died. He really wanted to hatch this egg. The boy tried to calm down and said that everything was fine since he was a hero. He knows many spells. The girl asked him what happened. She said that he said something about a hero. The guy replied that it didn't happen. He said that he is now engaged in livestock breeding and will work very hard in this endeavor. Everything was fine. Until then, he had managed to do everything by himself. Defending his friends, he single-handedly defeated the Demon King. The girl turned to him, and the boy told her to rely on him. She asked if it was hard for him to do everything by himself. The hero completely forgot that they were with him. The man said he wasn't sure if he could sit on these eggs. He suggested starting with one egg and then taking others. He was taught that way once. The man agreed to start with one. The main character thanked them. He said that when he lacked strength, he will know who he can rely on. They replied to him that they were always happy to help, as thanks to him they received a lot of fabric, and the villagers had also started to treat them more kindly. Now he is a reliable companion. It is impossible to live peacefully alone. It is better to do it in the company of friends. That's the whole point. The girl said that the omelette is already ready. The boy was delighted and wished everyone a good meal. The breasts were surprised by how much food was on the table. The hero saw many different colors and was very happy when yellow appeared. If they always have eggs, there will be enough food at home. They will definitely have chicks. The hero asked Katerina to give him an egg. She handed him a basket that contained only one egg. He said, "One more egg." The girl said that everything is in the omelette. He has only one egg left. The boy didn't know what to do if the chick didn't hatch. For some reason, he felt that everything depended on him. He felt a great responsibility. The girl apologized for accidentally spending all the money. She really wanted to make as many omelettes as possible. The boy asked her not to worry and assured her that everything would be fine. He said that even one egg is enough. The heroic animal breeder Shoto shows all his strength. He will ask them for help and then calmly raise a little chick. The hero pondered what needed to be done to plant this egg. The right temperature, a safe place, and a few days' time are needed. However, there is no point in him sitting at home all this time. Make sure the egg does not crack and stays warm. The girl asked him what happened. He replied that he is thinking about how to sit on an egg and not get distracted from work. Catherine said that it is indeed difficult. She suggested using magic. The main character had an idea. He wanted to use magic and asked the girl to hold the egg. The main character uses cold magic and volcanic lava for the first time. After that, he will create a protective barrier stronger than stone and iron, and then use gravity magic for better control. Now he has connected everything. The sphere appeared due to the merging of magic. He called it magic that retains heat or magical seeds. He succeeds with charms and magical repetitions, but he has problems with names. He can't even come up with simple names. The boy said that now he uses magical seeds. Gravity has already been learned to be controlled, and if you touch it, you can also feel the magic of warmth. He decided to use the blade as the final test. If the boy hits with the ball, this blade can easily crush a troll's skull. The hero hit the egg, but it remained intact. He had no scratches on him, and he was very happy. The girl was also happy for him. The boy said that it was all thanks to her. He thought she looked very cute when she blushed. She said she hadn't done anything. The hero said that he would like to practice a little more, but he had to go out to work in the field. So support him and wish him good luck. The man saw the boy and said that he thought he was busy with an egg. He asked what was on his head. There was an egg. The main character replied that he had already taken several measures to prevent it from breaking. Brust said that if that man speaks like that, there is no need to worry. His magic is meant for battle. But this spell, which is stronger than combat, was created specifically for peaceful purposes. The boy cut down many trees. He explained that he wanted to expand the field and thought it would be a good idea. The February giant said that now, when relations with the peasants have improved, they can receive new seedlings. The hero jokingly replied that they are now one step closer to baking donuts. Now, they just need to grow wheat. He said that we need to start and asked if the stump needs to be pulled out. The man replied that it wouldn't come out anyway, even if pulled with all one's strength. He took a shovel and said that first they needed to dig around the ground, but the boy had already pulled it out with his bare hands. Thanks to his strength, the hero finds it much easier. Le Mans said that he always had to work hard with a shovel, while the main character pulled him out of trouble so easily. That's true strength. The boy replied that it was all just training, and since then he could call it a router. Something. In those places, the stumps have long and thick roots, so it is difficult to get rid of them without a horse or an ox. Breast also started pulling out the pegs. He was able to do it himself. Compared to other species, ogres have impressive physical strength. However, in his case, it is related to the level. A giant cicada was sitting under the stump. This demonic insect can attack people. The parasite wanted to attack the egg, but it didn't succeed. The man said that everything was on the edge. If he hadn't reinforced the egg, it would have definitely broken. Luckily, the hero managed to catch it. The ogre said that crickets are very tasty. The boy was surprised that these insects were edible. A quiet life sometimes scared him. The hero said that he had already learned everything, and now he could be called a true master lumberjack. The man said that he is again coming up with strange nicknames. The other replied that these nicknames are not strange, and added that self-suggestion really helps to work more effectively. The hero was surprised to see Ensat. He told him that he had an egg on his head, and that he was once again engaged in something incomprehensible. The man said he went to talk to the locals. This place was very far from the capital. The man is surprised that he decided to check everything himself. Inset replied that he was forced to do it. The resident noted that thanks to Inset, they had embarked on the path of correction, and the situation inside began to change for the better. He never thought that after his victory he would have to deal with this. Until that moment, everything was unclear, but it seemed that now they were negotiating with one of the 3 generals of the Demon King. The boy asked how this was even possible. He said that trading with the general is quite bold. The man said that this seems to be the work of the subordinates of that Dolmat whom he defeated. Although they belong to the army of demons, externally they are no different from ordinary people. It was the same all over the country. If it's a person, they can be trusted. The bitter truth was that the real strength and true leaders were ordinary people. The boy said it was a bitter truth. The hero asked the man if he had received his message. The man replied that yes, that was exactly why he had a question. He said that as his friend, he wants to make sure that the former hero stays alive and does not cause problems for others. It is his duty. The man asked the hero to introduce him to his acquaintances and patrons. He thanked the man, who picked up Shiodo, and asked him to take care of him. The giant is surprised that the main character is friends with such a respectable person as the head of the central market. The man said that he had helped him a lot once, and if it weren't for that guy, he wouldn't have survived. Brust said that it was incredible. Ogoroba said that the hero saved them all, and his daughter started to smile more often. The man replied that it seems spring has finally come for Shoto as well. They started communicating with each other and saying that these two are just stalling for time. The boy thought that this was already too much. He thought that his relatives had gathered around him, rejoicing for him. At that time, it still reminded him that he was unemployed. The girl called that dinner was ready. The man asked if the girl who entered was the cannibal's daughter. She was afraid of him. Catherine said that this is the man with whom the hero spoke using magic. The boy said he would also be scared if someone like that came to him. The man asked if you would like to have lunch with them. His daughter cooks just as well as the chefs in the capital. Ensat said that the food was very tasty. The boy said that Katerina cooks the tastiest. The girl said that before, only she and her dad sat at the table. Then the main character came, and now this man is here too. She was very happy about it. Ensat replied that he was very surprised when he heard that the hero was hiding somewhere on the outskirts. He did not expect this at all. But now he cannot worry. He is even a little envious because he has to work every day, and after the defeat of the Demon King, there is even more to do. The man said that he finally managed to enjoy the peace that appeared today. The ogre suggested going fishing. Everyone liked this idea, and they all decided to go. The girl said that the main character is definitely a good fisherman. He laughed. He didn't think so at all. He had no experience in fishing at all, and this skill was his worst. The guy asked to be called Fisherman Shoto. Ensout said that the hero had never fished in his life. The guy was outraged. The girl said that then she promises to teach him. The man said that there is a nice place in that direction. Ensout added that the air outside is very clean. The boy decided to try fishing. He asked Catherine how to catch fish. She asked if he knew anything. He replied that he did not. The girl said that when she becomes an older sister, she will teach him everything. He was surprised that Katerina was older than him. The man replied that the girl was just trying to act like a teacher. She asked him to be quiet. The boy patted Catherine on the head, laughed, and said that she was cute. She replied that she would not teach him. He bowed and apologized to her. The hero thought she looked like a choreo win. The girl said that first you need to take a long stick and shape it into a fishing rod. The boy thought that the weather was very warm, and probably it thinks the same way. It really missed such a rest. In case he fell asleep, he cast a spell to wake up if a fish bit. He was very sleepy. The charm worked, and the girl began to worry about him. The boy said that he felt like a fish had bitten. A big fish bit the hook. The hero thought that this was a trifle for him, as he had already defeated the Demon King. He told the fish that he would catch it. The girl asked him to be careful, because if he pulls too hard, something bad might happen. He started spinning and eventually crashed into the wall. The ogre was surprised that everything happened just because of a broken rope. The man replied that no matter how Shodo behaved, he would still give his all. Some fish caught the hero. Catherine asked if he was okay. The boy hadn't felt so foolish in a long time as he does now. He replied to the girl that everything is fine, and he is completely calm. The main character said that he would catch all the fish now and used cold magic. The girl noticed that he was behaving differently than usual. She asked him to stop using magic. He apologized and said that he couldn't help himself. Catherine replied that it's good that he understands that. She said that he was in too much of a hurry, but it was his first time. The fish bit again. The girl asked him to calm down. This time, the fish was big again. The girl told him to watch the fish and see how it pulls. She will help him hold the fishing rod. He pulled the fishing rod, and the fish jumped right onto the shore. It was big. The main character raised it above her head. The men were surprised and decided to fry him for dinner. The hero turned to Brust and said that simply summoning magical fire was boring. But the man replied that it was not boring at all, but rather quick, so there were no problems. The boy suggested using telekinesis magic for the collision. Now they have a fire on which they could cook fish. It was a dangerous spell that could wipe the city off the face of the earth. The boy replied that what is suitable for the big will also be suitable for the small. It can be dangerous, so it's better not to approach. The man laughed. The girl apologized to him for having to deal with the fish and told him not to worry. Ensat said, "First you wait for the fish to bite, then you catch it and eat it." He no longer mentioned all those problems at the market. It was a wonderful vacation. The man was glad that he decided to check everything himself. He said that after one hero escaped, everything became even more complicated. The boy replied that he is curious about what kind of hero he is. The girl laughed and said that they looked like good friends. The man replied that they experienced both joy and sorrow together with him in the capital. The boy recalled that they were sitting on the tail of a Dalmatian, and then they dealt with it. Voga said that it is impressive, just like a real hero. The boy replied that he didn't need to invent a hero. He said he hadn't invented anything. He just believed he had done a lot of incredible things, like a real hero. He replied that at this level, he cannot do anything complicated. The man said he doesn't know what people are saying about him. It's good that he lives there and doesn't worry about anything. The boy considered himself very good. After returning from battle, he felt like a nearly fearless warrior. The man laughed at the fact that the fish managed to escape from the hero, and then he was going to freeze everything. The girl turned to the boy and said that the fish was already ready. It was his first catch. He took a bite and decided that it was very tasty. The man said he would not tell anyone about their meeting. But the princess suspected something. Although he did not believe that Her Majesty could appear there, the boy still asked him to stop, as it was impossible. His friends were surprised that he was acquainted with the princess. The girl saw the boy taking care of the potatoes. He said that he was a farmer. The hero decided to go to the river for water. She wished him a safe journey. He filled a glass with water and returned home. By the door, he saw a stranger. The hero thought that he was seeing him for the first time. The stranger greeted him. He said he heard about a hero who lives in the neighboring village. It seems that the villagers did tell about the hero. The stranger asked him to calm down. The boy replied that he was no longer a hero, but now just a farmer. The stranger had great difficulty asking the locals, and only when he treated a soldier to a drink did he finally learn the information he needed. Indeed, then for some reason they beat that soldier, saying that he wanted to destroy the village. The boy said that until that moment he had tried to keep everything a secret. He even forgave the villagers. The stranger admitted that he just wanted to find out something, and that's why he came. He said that he is talking about a book titled Visiting the Kingdom of Tugana. This book was written by that very stranger. The boy said that he must be a true master since he managed to publish this. It seemed like it was from another world. The stranger replied that he preferred to call himself a scholar rather than a writer. When the main character lived in Japan, he bought many e-books and began to appreciate writers. He wrote them reviews and added his own works and ideas to them. When he did this, his account was blocked. The stranger said that the air there was pleasant and humid. In that case, he could take off his clothes. It turned out that he was a reptilian. The girl called him a frog and then apologized. The man laughed and said that in some ways he really did resemble a frogman. Liuti said that they had a guest. He saw that it was a frog. The girl asked him to stop. The man recounted that in the society of half-humans to which he belongs, they learned that the neighboring village has a positive attitude towards those like them. A group of organizations from outside is trying to process this land. The man said he didn't know they were talking about them. The stranger replied that it was indeed amazing. Brust said that they were persecuted in their homeland and had nowhere to live, so they had to set everything up on their own. The boy asked him about the pursuit. The man replied that people consider half-humans to be servants of the Demon King. When the sun rose in the small town of Dacia Facino, it completely illuminated the wheat field. So, the Dutchman has disappeared. The girl said that he was engulfed by some strange light, and then everything turned to ash. The frog said that they still do not understand what it was, and that it is a real tragedy. The boy began to remember what the principality was like before it was destroyed. The giant ogre declared that he is an immortal duke and intends to sacrifice all the inhabitants to the demonic king in exchange for an invulnerable body. It was strange that no matter how much you burned or cut it, it still wouldn't die. He said he would turn them into an obedient army of the dead, replenish his immortal army, and wipe the kingdom off the face of the earth. The boy used hell fire. The monster said he was a fool. If he burned everything, he wouldn't be able to win. The flames also destroyed his own body. The hero decided that if he allowed them to turn everyone into the undead, everything would only get more complicated. So he burned everything. It seemed too radical. The man said it would be great if their little field became bigger. The frog turned to the main character. He asked him to show the field. The frog replied that the reason is that this field is a true fortress of peaceful life. While working on the book, he learned a lot about this topic, and he really likes it. The boy replied that if it was really so, then just show it to him and ask to follow him. He said he is very proud of it, but the plants are not growing yet. The frog replied that the stems are still very weak. He said that he painted this potato for his book. Compared to his potatoes, They now look more like beans. He asked if you know that they are often found in the east of the country. Now, the little frog definitely knew. The plants were lacking nutrients. Not all the sprouts were getting enough beneficial elements. Moreover, he was also watering them too much. He asked what that man uses to nourish the plants. The main character asked what fertilizers are. The frog said that it is clear this land is not suitable for growing crops. It needs to be well prepared and fertilized first. The boy said he was hearing about land preparation for the first time. The frog asked why he was entrusted with this field. The man replied that the hero grows potatoes better than anyone else. The girl confirmed this. Something replied that the frog told him the same thing, but very disappointed. They told him that it was right to come, so there is nothing to worry about. The frog said that they would prepare fertilizer. The boy asked why she was so happy when she talked about it. He replied that there would be even more potatoes. The main character said that in that case, it was time to start. The boy asked what is needed to make fertilizer. The frog replied that human waste can be used as food. He explained that in simple terms, it is what food is digested into in the body. The reptile asked where they had put all these things. The man replied that they had buried it in a pit. The frog said that was great. He said that straw, ash, food scraps, and fish bones would also work. The girl told them it's time to round up every single thing right now. The boy was surprised that all of this could become fertilizer. The frog replied that fertilizers used to be made from what was at hand. Even if they prepare the field well, it still won't be as fertile as the lands of Ducky. But it is a wonderful place for growing wheat. The boy was inspired. He said that his dream is a wheat field. He also added that he dreams of eating Ketrin stew with bread, and perhaps he will still be able to show Bruce that landscape once again. The kid asked the frog for help, and Chloe promised that since the hero reached out, he'd totally have their back. The boy pointed with his fingers to the place where the toilet is now located. He said that when they dig a new hole, they move with the house. The froglet replied that it is an interesting tradition. The boy asked what he had previously said about how to make seedlings grow faster. Chloe replied that generally it's just fertilizer, but one cannot rely solely on this. It may do more harm than good. Therefore, it needs to be processed well. For this, they really need courage. The main character pinched his nose. Clovlock laughed and said that once in the villages, people also had to do the same. The boy said that he understands. To cultivate the field and live peacefully, one must overcome oneself and fight every day. He also said he would help. They finished. The temperature and humidity were perfect. It would make good fertilizer. But the smell was very unpleasant. After fermentation, the unpleasant smell should disappear. The mixture should smell like yogurt or slightly resemble alcohol. The boy said he understood and asked if the point was for the fertilizer to smell nice. They explained to him that this is their usual way of working, which is why there is an unpleasant smell. After a while, the smell will disappear. That is, it will become easier by lunchtime. The boy asked if fermentation is a good method, and he was told that it is simply the fastest option. The girl said that they smell and it's time to go wash up. The boy replied that his nose has already gotten used to the smell, and the frog added that when it smells for so long, you just stop noticing it. The main character said that he is good at heating water. Clola replied that, to be honest, he doesn't like boiling water and prefers it warm. The boy replied that he understood everything and assured that he would be able to maintain the required temperature and heat the water to the perfect state. The little frog was very surprised. He said that the hero heats the water wonderfully. The guy replied that he just casts spells well, but it's much simpler than preparing fertilizers. The hero introduced himself as a fertilizer inventor. The frog replied to him that they needed to create a beautiful field together. Thus, Clolock became a part of their peaceful life. They sat down at the table and started eating. The boy asked if a frog swallows food immediately and how it senses the taste of food. He was told that frogs perceive the taste of food through their esophagus. They enjoy the food when they swallow it. This one, with a hollow look, has an egg that it carries with it, and it is very similar in structure. Soon, someone is supposed to hatch from it. The girl said that she succeeded in everything. She said that the guy did a good job, that she had already prepared everything, and asked him to step outside for a moment. He asked her what she had come up with, and she showed him his new clothes. He was surprised, and said that the size suited him and that it should be shown to everyone. Clolock remembered that yesterday Katerina sewed something. The clothing fit the hero perfectly. The girl said she made it so that it wouldn't tear during work. The boy apologized. The girl replied that even if something breaks, it's not a big deal. The chick began to hatch from the egg. Everyone was very surprised to see this. They watched him closely. The egg was moving. The boy said that the chick was hatching. Soon the egg stopped moving, and they began to wonder what had happened. The hero said that their fate now depends on the chick, and it is he who decides everything. The magic physical strength battle allows you to use the strength you will have tomorrow. Today, the girl covered his mouth and forbade him to say anything. She said that the chick is trying very hard right now. They can only watch it. The boy replied that he understood. A chick was born, and everyone was very happy. The hero said he almost fainted from this cuteness. He reached out his hands to the chick, which was trembling with excitement. The girl said that the chick decided its mum is a true hero. He was told that chicks perceive the first object they see after birth as their mother. Catherine said that now they need to give him a name, as he has already become part of their family. The boy replied that they had waited a long time and hoped that he would appear. He began to enumerate hope, dreams, great aspirations, and victory. From this moment, the main character decided that this chick would be a true victory for him. The girl said that it is too long a name, so he will just be Tori Maru. She said that, to be honest, the guy doesn't know how to come up with names or apologize. The hero asked her to stop and couldn't believe that he was really that pathetic. Now this chick was called Tori Maru. The boy said he would raise a chicken, and then they would have even more empty castles. Clolock replied that this was already poultry farming. The hero asked if he knew anything about it. The frog replied that it was not within his competence, but she knew that chicken manure was excellent fertilizer. The boy realized that when the chick grew up, they would be able to harvest a larger crop. But if you raise poultry, there is a great risk that wild animals may eat it. The boy didn't want such a cute Torimaru to be eaten, so he decided to make a house for him. The man asked if the main character was going to build a chicken coop. He said that when he worked as a carpenter, he often had to do it. The boy seriously asked us to help him build a chicken coop. The man asked to trust him and said that he had acted correctly. They, along with Clolock, contemplated building a house. For this, they need to prepare enough wood. He noted that if they want to create a channel for the rice field, in the future, even more wood will be needed. The guy suggested going and cutting down trees. A man stopped him. He said that the wood for construction must be dry. Otherwise, they will rot during work, and in the forest, trees need years to dry out. That is why they go and buy them in the village. Thanks to the hero, they managed to sell the hides and meat, but now it has become much easier to obtain firewood. They came to the village. The girl said it would be great if the little frog could go with them too. Clolock said that the journey there and back is like a real trip for him, so he would rather stay there and take care of the field. He asked them not to worry and said that everything would be under control. The main character advised his father to take his daughter to the market. The boy saw his grandmother, who shared her eggs. She greeted him. He asked her to take a look because a chick had hatched from the egg. The woman said that he is very nice and clarified that he is a man. The boy replied that they had eaten all the eggs except for the one from which Tori Maru hatched. He asked if she could give them another egg so he could raise a friend for himself. The woman said that she recently raised a chick and would be happy to give it away. The man replied that she simply saved these birds. At that time, the trolls brought meat and skins to the market for sale. They asked the grandmother to take a look at their goods. She was very surprised to see this. The woman began to look for a hero beside her. The man said that they wanted to know how much this tree costs. The old woman replied that she first needed to look at the skin and meat. She wrote down on a piece of paper how much it would cost. The girl asked if it was really that cheap. The man replied that the price had increased significantly since the last time. The woman said that there is demand in the capital, which is why the wood has become more expensive. She said that if they don't like it, they can look for another place. The man replied that the price suits them. An old woman spoke about a tree. They replied that they only needed that. She asked if he was going to build a house and said that the amount was large and the rest would be brought later. This time, she will deduct the cost of meat and hides, as well as the cost of carts and donkeys, and the sum of the deposit will remain. The main character approached and asked how they were doing. The man asked if he had brought new chicks. The woman got scared. She awkwardly smiled and thanked them for the purchase. The old woman said that she now lives honestly. She wished the main character all the best. He asked her not to get nervous when she sees him. The woman said she needed to find a tree, prepare a cart, donkeys, and of course, the payment always has to be appropriate. Then the giant turned to the main character. You said he still felt cheated? He just didn't like it when someone else benefited from the exchange. For those who work there permanently, there is no equivalent replacement. He asked the old woman how much the regular price was. She gave him a piece of paper with the numbers written on it. The woman said that in that case, they need a lot of everything. Since the silence began, prices for building materials have skyrocketed everywhere. The old woman said that they could borrow and pay back later. The boy asked them to wait a little. The hero approached the man and said that he wanted to take all his money. The man replied that this bank only works with large depositors, and ordinary people should better go to another bank. The banker recognized the guy. Shoto asked him not to make a fuss and just let him withdraw the money. He saw a table with the current exchange rate. The man said that the rate was the same throughout the country, but the news slowly reached remote areas. The man said that the princess was wonderful. She replied that she wanted to teach a real lesson. She was informed that the hero's score had changed significantly. She was told that it is not known for sure, but he used magic and immediately disappeared. She said that he took a lot of money and didn't understand why he needed so much. And the clock, which had always worked without a break, took a vacation. She was asked if she needed to be brought back. The girl replied that there was no point in that. She told the knight to go to NSAT immediately and ordered him to track where the deal for such an amount would take place today. After that, he was to head there right away. She laughed and said that they would be able to find the hero's trail. Then the girl will finally be able to meet him. He said that they definitely need to meet, and if something goes wrong, it will be a real disaster. He came and said that he had returned. The hero placed a pouch of coins on the table. The woman said that the hero brought exactly 23 coins. The boy asked if she determined this only by weight. He replied that this is the price in the capital, and he does not intend to work with dishonest sellers. Everyone thinks that the exchange rate will rise tomorrow due to high demand. The woman said that if so, she would give the cart and the donkeys for free. The man replied that he liked such gifts. The man said that the hero would have to pay a lot. He asked him not to worry about it. The girl was surprised by how much wood Shota had gathered and thought that he was simply incredible. She thought that the hero would raise a chick from a seedling to grow a harvest, and that she wouldn't be able to help at all. Someone turned to her. She was told that next time she needs to bring clothes for sale. The old woman will pay even more for them than for skin and meat. She asked if she had sewn the clothes for Chateau herself. The woman replied that the items were indeed well made, just what was needed for working in the fields. Such things are always very necessary in the outskirts. There are no good seamstresses in the village, so it's not a bad job. The woman said she wouldn't insist, but the girl replied that she would definitely bring it anyway. She asked what was so special about her clothes, since she was old. The old woman replied that it wasn't her fault. She just hadn't paid the bills. The woman said that the old witch's hair is actually not that valuable, but she really feels sorry. As soon as the girl decides to sell her things, she will wait. After all, for her, her things are always more valuable than for others. Catherine Thatcher with a bow. The boy said that she has a good sense of humor. The girl said that it is good that there is peace now. The hero agreed with her. She said she was very grateful to the hero who defeated the Demon King. Now there is nothing to worry about. The guy will deal with the enemy again. Some said he was just a dragon slayer. The entities felt that the true Demon King was approaching. Heroes and ordinary people cannot stand against him. Having flown through 3,000 worlds, the Demon King will descend to Earth, for he is drawn by human hatred.